So we come to the last one, which is the waswas in relationships with people. Again, there are certain Islamic principles that are very, very, very important here. One is the principle of husnul dhan, thinking good of others. You know, generally this is a principle that we have in Islam. That we, and even though it is not a hadith, it's not a hadith that seek for your brother 70 excuses, but the concept is correct, and the idea that you look, and it's reported from some of the Imams of Islam, that you try to carry a person's speech in the best possible context. And you don't allow the shaitan to create enmity between you. And there's a beautiful example of that in the story of Yusuf, and how Yusuf said at the end of the surah, how Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that Yusuf said, and when he praises Allah Azza wa Jal for guiding him and for, bringing his family back together, after what? After the shaitan had made a problem between me and my brothers. This tells us that the shaitan, one of the things he does is he tries to get involved in your relationships. And one of the ways he does that is by adh-dhan. Like Allah Azza wa Jal said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. O you who believe, avoid a lot of suspicion. Because indeed there is some suspicion which is sinful. So you don't take what your brother says or does in the worst way. You take it in the best way. That is one thing. The other thing is, you go to make islah between yourself and others and between other people. You make islah. You go to them and you ask them, look, I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood you, maybe you misunderstood me. Because this is the opposite of what the shaitan is doing. The shaitan is trying to drive you apart. But what you are doing is, when you find yourself distancing from a person, you go to that person and you try to make peace with them. You ask them to forgive you. Even if you did nothing wrong, you still ask them to forgive you. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ promised what he promised from the houses of Jannah for the one who gives up arguing, even if he is muhiqqa, even if he has a right to do it and he's correct. Even if he's correct, he gives up arguing, he doesn't argue. So he's having a fight with someone and he comes by and says, you know what it is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it. Forgive me. But this first point I want to come back to, of husnul dhan, because it all starts with su'u dhan. It all starts with evil thoughts of someone. Someone didn't give salam to you, you automatically assume that he's made hajar of you and he doesn't like you, and that's because of what you said last week, and blah, 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 blah. In reality, he probably didn't even see you. He probably didn't hear you give salam to him. He was probably busy in his own thoughts. So we just carry it in the best way, and take it in the best way. Hold it in the best way. Don't take it in a negative way, that everything is negative about somebody. Have husnul dhan. And as we said, if you look at the etiquettes, especially the etiquettes mentioned in Surah Al-Hujurat, many etiquettes, one after the other, the avoiding of suspicion and the avoiding of backbiting and causing trouble between people, and the making of islah, making peace between people. Allah, in Surah Al-Hujurat, you can find everything you need. And remember that if your relationship with Allah is strong, then inshaAllah ta'ala, Allah will correct your relationship with others. Like Sufyan ibn Uyayna said, كَانَ الْعُلَمَاءُ فِي مَا مَضَى يَكْتُبُونَ بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ هَؤُلَاءِ الْكَلِمَاتِ مَنْ أَصْلَحَ مَا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ أَصْلَحَ اللَّهُ مَا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ النَّاسِ. The scholars of old used to write to one another with these words, whoever corrects what is between him and Allah, Allah will correct what is between him and the people. I don't know, I tried my best to cover as many of the types of the waswas as possible, and to talk about as many of the solutions as possible. But I just wanted to sort of highlight a few causes of this overall, across the board. I think there are two causes that really come to mind. The biggest one in my mind of generally of waswas as a whole is ignorance about the Sharia. I feel this is one of the biggest causes. is ignorance of the Sharia. And by this what I mean is, for example, ignorance of what to do when you get confused in the prayer. Ignorance of what to do when you're confused in your tahara. Ignorance of how to make istinja properly. Ignorance of, for example, how not to, or how you should keep a good relationship with your Muslim brother. A lot of it comes down to ignorance. So the more knowledge you have on these issues and the more you learn about them, the more you will repel the shaitan's whispering from you by learning. Now I'm not talking about the whispering which is from Iman, like the whispering that comes because of your high Iman. I'm talking about the other types of whispering. The best solution is to learn the Sharia, because the Sharia has an answer for everything. Like that time when one of the non-Muslims made fun of the Sahaba and he said, your Prophet taught you everything, even how to go to the toilet. He said, yes, even how to go to the toilet. He taught us to, for example, to use 3 stones and not to use animal dung or bones and so on. The point is, our Messenger ﷺ taught us everything we need. The Sharia has an answer to every situation. But you have to learn that answer and you have to implement it bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The second major cause that I think is al-i'rad an as-sunnah, turning away from the sunnah. For example, exaggerating in the wudu, spending excessive time in the bathroom. All of these things which come from turning away from the sunnah and putting yourself in a place where you are vulnerable to the shaitan. Like going to shaitani places and, like doing things, doing haram in certain places where you put yourself and you make yourself vulnerable to the shaitan. As for the causes of safety, they are many. But from among the greatest of them is al-isti'adha, seeking refuge with Allah from the shaitan, and al-dhikr, remembering Allah through the Quran and the tasbih and the takbir and the other forms of dhikr. Dua, asking Allah to save you, asking Allah to help you, asking Allah to remove the whispering of the shaitan from you. Doing good deeds. Because the more good deeds you do, it pushes the shaitan away from you. And that's why we said that, for example, when you get that feeling in your mind that the shaitan has whispered something to you, do something good, say something good. So the shaitan will learn that this is a bad, when he whispers to you, you do something good. And then he will stop this particular form of attack. And then all of the things that we said with regard to the specific circumstances of tahara and salah and the way that you deal with people, and so on and so forth. So I tried to do what I could to summarize this topic. It's probably a bigger topic than this. We need to do more research. We need to come up with more, to bring more of the ahadith and the ayat and look at this in a more comprehensive way. But I thought it would be nice to at least record something to help people who are suffering in this situation, and at least to give us some ideas and inspiration about it. And then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala we can go from there and we can try to add to it and we can try to increase our understanding on this particular issue. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us away from the shaitan and his whisperings and to give us beneficial knowledge and the ability to act upon it. That is what Allah Azza wa Jal made it easy to mention, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.